These cells were discovered by Robert Hooke, and the first slide that he has, it was a man-made microscope. It was not a compound microscope or electron microscope. Robert Hooke made a handmade microscope, and through which he has seen a slide of a cork. Cork is actually the bark of a tree. And he found some structure, like a honeycomb structure he found, and he defined them as cell. Cell means a unit, and it was a great discovery. I do not know who is Osama bin Laden. Every time he enters and he creates a problem, Osama, who is Osama bin Laden? Now, so the cells are the basic building blocks of the human body, and these cells are combined to make tissues, and then these tissues are combined together to make organs. Now, here the example is given, like the example is given, like nucleus and mitochondria are the parts of the cell. Then these cells combine together to make cardiac muscles. Now these muscles are made up of tissues, and cardiac muscles means the heart, the muscles of the heart. Okay, any of the muscles of the body. Now these muscles together make the heart. This is an organ, and this heart is a part of the circulatory system. So this we have studied. Moving next. Animal tissues, there are animal tissues and there are plant tissues. So we have studied that the epidermis is the, we'll move on, we'll skip some slides. I'll show it to you. Well, this slide is gone. There was a slide, epidermis. I think that slide by mistake, the slide is deleted. So this is the figure. You can just see this figure. There are meristematic tissues. Then there are lateral meristematic tissues which are responsible for the growth. They are present at the root. Then there are intercalary meristem, which is responsible for the girth. Girth means to increase the thickness. And there are apical, which are responsible for the growth, like moving forward. So these are the meristematic tissues. And you might have studied in earlier classes, like if we cut the plant from here, if we remove pluck the leaves from the buds and all, you might have studied this. Then the branching, it results in the branching of the different branches come out from here. This is because of the apical meristem. So this we have studied. Since just have a brief recap. Here an important thing is written over here. Due to the difference in the structure and function of plants and animals, they are made up of different type of tissues. Plants or animals, they behave differently and they have different functions. Plants make their own food by themselves through the process of photosynthesis in the presence of water and sunlight. And animals cannot make their own food. They need mobility. So different type of tissues. Plants do not have muscles. Animals have muscles. So let us see this. Since animals are mobile, they require more energy, hence they have living tissues. Plants are stationary, they require much lesser energy, and hence they are having tissues according to that. Second one, animal moves from one place to another in search of food. Here, most tissues provide structural strength. Most of the tissues are dead. You might have seen that the plant cells are having cell walls. The cell walls are there to give it strength of structure. We are having bones, but the plant do not have bones. The cells have cell walls. Moving next, cell growth is ununiformly distributed. Like we are having different types of cell growth, like ears. The human ears are the growth is limited, but our height increases till we are 18 years of age. So growth, and here the growth is also limited to certain regions. You have studied about the meristematic tissues, the apical, the intercalary, and this one, what do you call as the lateral meristem. So the growth is only to certain regions of the. So these are the three differences: one, two, three, and there's a structural organization. The structural organization of the organs and the organ system is more specialized and complex. Here, the structural organization is not that complex. So we are having heart, we are having excretory system, we are having digestive system, which is having gallbladder, pancreas, different things are there. Moving forward, this we have already discussed. Moving forward, so now we have come to the types of tissues. So there are permanent tissues, and the permanent tissues are of two types: simple and complex. The xylem and the phloem are responsible for the plant nutrition. The xylem is there to transfer the fluids, and the phloem is responsible for transference of the food material. And there are permanent tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Let us read this. Tissues that come from meristematic tissues and are matured are called permanent tissues. So these meristematic tissues, when they are matured, when they have reached a certain limit, and the maturity has reached a limit, they are called as permanent tissues. And they are made of dead cells that have lost the power to divide. So these permanent tissues are called permanent because they cannot divide. And they have a definite shape and size and function, and may be living or dead. Exceptions might be there. So most important thing is that they have a definite shape and size. And these are made up of meristematic tissues. The process by which these cells arise from meristematic tissues and take up a permanent shape, size, and function is called differentiation. So this is there. Moving next. Let us see this next slide. Parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. First of all, you see the figures. These figures are drawn down under in the third row. This is parenchyma. Let us see what is parenchyma. This is the figure. This is the transverse. This is the transverse section, and this is the lateral section. Both the figures are given over there. And what is written over here is very important. Just have a look over here. found in non-woody or roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. These are the plant parts where it is found. It is found in the roots, but the woody part is not there. It is not. This plant is not there. Sir, somebody is asking if these are permanent. How do they divide? They do not divide. New cells are formed. Like new meristematic tissues are formed. They are responsible for the growth. They get matured and they give the plant their strength. Um, for example, let me explain it to you. Woody part means like basically it's the stem. When it becomes a log of wood, whenever the stems increases in its thickness, it, the tree becomes thickens up. It becomes the woody part. Actually, the wood, what we call as a wood, is the woody part. So now these flowers are not the wood. We cannot call the flowers as a wood. We cannot call leaves as a wood. We cannot call stem as the wood. When it is a plant, it's a stem. We cannot call roots as a wood. So basically, these parenchyma is most simple packaging tissue that fills the space between other tissues. So this tissue is to fill the space. It fills the space between the other tissues, and it is the most abundant. And it is the most abundant part. Okay. Let us move to this parenchyma, and it is found in the epidermis. Epidermis is the inner part of the stem. The xylem and the phloem, along with the xylem and the phloem. These are living, unelongated, and irregularly thick, and are made of cellulose or pectin. Pectin is an enzyme which takes parts in the food formation of a plant. Has very less or intercellular spaces, cells and nucleus, than cytoplasm and large vacuole. They are there to provide flexibility. This is an important part. This is an important point. These are the parenchyma are there to fill the empty spaces, and these collenchyma are there to provide flexibility. You need to remember in very short, then only you will be able to remember. Okay. Now moving to the next part, that is the sclerenchyma, and you can see the figure is given down under, and you can even find it in your books. Actually, this is there, which becomes a wood. These are actually dead cells. You can see over here, parenchyma is living, collenchyma is also living, and sclerenchyma is having dead cells. And this sclerenchyma is there, which gives a tree, which gives a plant its own strength. How does it able to? How is it able to stand erect? So this is responsible for that. This gives rigidity and strength to the plant and makes it hard and tough to bear stress and strains. So these are the three important points you have to remember, and that is how you will remember parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So parenchyma is there to fill up the empty spaces. Collenchyma is there to give flexibility to the plants, and sclerenchyma is there to give rigidity and strength to the plants. Moving next, epidermis. This is an activity, and let us see what is this activity. Take a fresh leaf and stretch and break it in by applying pressure. While breaking it stretches gently so that some peel or skin projects out from the cut. So actually when you tear a leaf, you might see a transparent skin type. That is actually, you have to take that portion of that. Like when you peel onion, you find that transparent, very thin type of skin type of thing. Same with the leaves also. When you tear them up, so you have to peel it and you have to put it in the petri dish, and you add a few drops of saffron in. Saffron is actually a coloring agent. Saffron is, we will do it in the laboratory if time permits. This lockdown is, saffron is a coloring agent. It will enable you to see that this thing in the under the microscope. So let us see this. When observed under the microscope, the outermost layer is called the epidermis or the epidermal tissue. This is the outermost layer. You can see this. This figure is an important figure. You can see this. This is actually the epidermis. These that you see are the stomata. Stomata are the openings on the plant leaves, and they are responsible for the incoming and the outgoing of the vapors, the water vapors. They are, and these are the guard cells. These figures that you see, these that you see, the raisin-like structure, these are the guard cells. So guard cells have a different function. We'll be studying this in the coming slides. But the outer layer is the epidermis, and it's a protective layer, and its main function is to protect the plant from excessive cold or excessive heat. It is made up of single layer of cells. It is made up of single layer of cells that are flat and they have no intercellular spaces. So you can see over here, they do not have any intercellular spaces. You can see this. They do not have any intercellular spaces. In plants or dry habitats, epidermis is thick to prevent the water loss and has thick waxy layer of cutin. It's a waterproof substance. So in deserts you find cactus and all. They have a very thick epidermis. And aerial parts of the plant, epidermis secretes cuticle, a waxy water resistance layer made of cutin on the outer surface. Cuticle prevents loss of water, mechanical injury, and invasion by parasitic fungi. So you have to, it prevents the plant from excess heat, cold, and infection. This is the this is the role of the epidermis. It will prevent the plant from excessive heat, excessive cold, and infection. And the epidermal cells of the roots have long hair roots, which increases the surface area of the absorption of the water. So these points you have to remember. Point number one, they form a protective layer. Point number two, they they prevent the water loss. And point number three, they are also responsible for the absorption of the water. So these are the 3 points you have to remember: protective layer, waterproof, and absorption of water on the roots. Moving next, let us see this. Epidermis. It's a layer of the cells covering the surface of the entire plant, and the function, it acts as a barrier to microorganisms and pathogens. Layer is thin and transparent. It allows the light to pass through photosynthesis. Epidermal tissues have tiny hairs. You don't need to study this. They actually trap the water. Root hairs are elongations of the epidermal cells. Root hairs increases the surface area for the absorption of the water. It creates a waterproof substance, a waxy cuticle. It prevents the loss of water. Some epidermal cells secretes poisons or bad tasting substances. The bitter taste of the substances prevent grazing by animals. So these are the part of the epidermis. It's a very important slide, and you need to have a look at it. You need to read it and understand it. Basically, 3 points we have covered in this. It forms a protective layer. It prevents the plant from heat. It prevents the plant from cold. It prevents the plant from infection, from pathogens, fungus. Secondly, it forms a waterproof substance called cutin. Thirdly, it increases the surface area for the absorption of the water. What is the function of the trichome? Leaf trichomes trap water to prevent water loss. Trichome are those, they are the parts of the stomata. They are the parts of the guard cells. So it's a technical term. You need not go into this. They are the part of the guard cells of the stomata. They prevents the water loss. Moving next, the function of the stomata. So there's a stomata along with the epidermis. There are stomata. You have seen the figure. I'll show you the figure once again. This is the figure that we are discussing about. Moving next. So the epidermis of the leaf have small pores, and these pores are called the stomata. So these pores are the stomata, surrounded by two kidney-shaped guard cells. So each of these pores have guard cells. These are the kidney-shaped guard cells. The function of the stomata is the exchange of the gases. Transpiration. Transpiration means the exchange of the water. Loss of water in the form of water vapor. It helps the conduction of the water and minerals from the root to other parts of the plants. And it is the outer layer of the branch of a tree. It's from the outer layer of the branch of the tree, different from the outer layer of the young stem. And this epidermis, it forms the cork. You can see this cork is an important, you might have seen in beer bottles and liquor bottles. It's made out of epidermis. When this epidermis dries up, so this forms a cork. This is actually the figure. So this will be the last for today, and we will be stopping here. We'll continue with this chapter. And some important information I want to share with you. Hardly 4 minutes are left. First of all, if you have understood everything, whatever I have taught today, you write yes in the chat box so that I will have an idea that you have understood everything. You write yes in the chat box, please, if you have understood everything. Okay, thank you so much. Now, some important information I need to share with you. Please pay attention. Today I'll be sharing your revised timetable. Yesterday there was no class. The reason for that was because CBSE wants that, because this, we do not know when this epidemic will get over, this coronavirus, and maybe this will continue till December or Jan. I do not know, and nobody knows. So this, you have to pay attention to your online classes very seriously. You have to take these classes very, very seriously. You do not think that nothing will happen, because the promotion will be on the basis of that. And I see only 35 students are there attending the class. I see only 35 students are attending the class. Uh, this is a poor strength. We need to take these classes very seriously. Yesterday, we revised the timetable. So now you will have more classes every day. Every day you will have more classes. You are already aware yesterday that most of the teachers sent you the. Actually, you will have a. I not having that. So I'll be sharing the timetable with you. You will be having 4 classes each day: science, SST, computer, maths, Hindi, English. You'll be having 4 classes. So you have to take these classes very seriously. Another important thing: kindly pay your fees, because the school is running. There are, everything needs money, even small things. I will send you personal messages. Those who have not paid the fees, uh, I'll be calling you on personal. I'll be sharing personal messages. I'll be sharing personal messages with you. Uh, those who have not paid the fees, please pay your fees on time. Ask your parents to please. Yes, 4 classes every day. Ask your parents to please pay the fees, and and that will be all for today. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. And there will be an assignment I have given you. I have given you last time that you have to draw the diagrams, maintain your register well, draw the diagrams, color them, maintain your notes very well. For every chapter, I'll be sharing you the notes, especially for science, not exactly for computers, because computer is not one of the mainstream subjects. You can read and you can ask doubts on WhatsApp. That will be all for today. Thank you so much.